While China's trying to attract foreign investment, it enacted a foreign relations law that will kill foreign business. Welcome to China Uncensored. I'm Chris Chappell. The Chinese Communist Party wants foreigners to invest within the country, so it's trying really hard to convince everyone that its economy is doing great. The economy grew 4.5% in the first quarter, the fastest pace in a year. Of course, fastest pace in a year really isn't saying much, considering that a year ago, China didn't have an economy because everyone was locked down under the insane zero COVID policy. Last week, Chinese Premier Li Qiang performed the opening address at the World Economic Forum's 14th annual meeting of the new champions in the Chinese city of Tianjin. He said China's economy is growing fast. So, foreign friends, why not bring your business and your money to China? Quit talking about decoupling and de-risking. That's a false proposition. Everyone should just keep doing business with China. Never mind that the CCP is an authoritarian, genocidal regime. Focus on its GDP.
From what we see this year, China's economy shows a clear momentum of rebound and improvement. We have full confidence and the ability to achieve the steady growth of the Chinese economy on the track of high-quality development in a long time to come.
Wow, that sounds great, but if China had that much confidence, then why does it silence people who raise concerns about the economy? Is it because China's GDP numbers are man-made and unreliable? In reality, many are worried about China's economy. One of them is a prominent journalist, Wu Xiaobo. He compared China's economic situation to the Great Depression, which is the last thing China wants people to hear. Well, besides everything on this channel. That's actually our tagline. That's why China censored Wu, claiming that he and two other writers attacked and undermined Chinese policy and spread negative and harmful information. According to content moderators, the three writers were also spreading smears against the development of the securities market and hyping up the unemployment rate. As a result, China's version of Twitter scrubbed Wu's page of content from April 2022 onwards. If China's trying so hard to hide how bad it's doing, then it's a sign that foreign businesses should have gotten out of China like yesterday. The signs are everywhere. Youth unemployment rose even higher in May to new records. China's stock market is losing momentum, and China's property developers have made little progress restructuring their debt. On top of that, audits have found that local governments have exaggerated their own revenue, adding billions more to China's multi-trillion-dollar hidden debt problem. Communists lying to their leaders to make themselves look better? That is definitely not something that would ever happen. Some people even predict that China's economic recovery is doomed to fail. That's why some foreign investors are pulling out of Chinese markets. But others, not naming names, just can't seem to quit, which will come back to bite them because China has a new foreign relations law. And those relations are complicated. I'll tell you why after the break. Welcome back. China has a bunch of new laws that will kill foreign business in China. First, there's a counter-espionage law that just went into effect. And it is so vague, it's like if the ending of Inception was a piece of legislation. What does it mean? It's up to your interpretation. For example, it says it aims to protect the people's interests. What does that mean? It means more raids on foreign companies and detaining more foreign executives. Because what makes the nation feel more secure than knowing the government can detain people for no good reason anytime they want? Under the terms of this sweeping new law, all investigation activity and data gathering in China, printed, electronic, or oral, can be effectively outlawed as espionage. This could be the fate now awaiting many due diligence professionals and consultants in China, or even just ordinary businesses and their staff. It's no surprise that this would make a lot of people nervous, especially investors. But China's leader Xi Jinping is trying to downplay their concerns. According to state-run media, Xi vowed to New Zealand's Prime Minister to protect the rights and interests of foreign investors. And would he ever lie? That's the counter-espionage law. And on the same day that went into effect, so did China's new foreign relations law. It's arguably worse. Chinese state-run media say it will safeguard China's national interests and give an unequivocally clear picture of China's independent foreign policy of peace. Because when I think of peaceful foreign policies, I definitely think of China. And for anyone who says, what about Taiwan? Well, that's obviously a part of China, so that's not foreign policy at all. The Foreign Relations Law is a response to U.S. sanctions over things like China's brutal treatment of Xinjiang and Hong Kong, support for Russia in the Ukraine war, exports of fentanyl precursors, and a lot more. But yeah, China's definitely the peaceful one here. That's why my favorite state-run media, the Global Times, calls the Foreign Relations Law a legal toolbox against Western hegemony. It basically gives the CCP a legal basis to threaten foreign companies in China in retaliation for sanctions, which is confusing since when do they care about doing anything legally? China's highest-ranking diplomat, Wang Yi, wrote in the People's Daily that many provisions in the Foreign Relations Law are actually for the purpose of counteracting against foreign sanctions, the long-arm jurisdiction, and the foreign interference in Chinese domestic affairs. Wow, that's surprisingly transparent coming from a CCP diplomat. He goes on to say, we should make full use of the Foreign Relations Law as a legal tool through legislative, law enforcement, judicial, and other means to carry out our fight in response to acts of containment, interference, sanctions, and destruction. I guess it's nice to see them use a tool to deal with their problems that isn't a tank. Over the past 3 years, China's been putting out regulations to counter American sanctions, including the anti-foreign sanctions law in 2021. What makes this different is how broad and all-encompassing it is. According to a professor at the School of Law at City University of Hong Kong, the Foreign Relations Law will serve as an umbrella law that governs China's conduct of foreign relations in every respect. Its main purpose, however, is to consolidate the power of the CCP, more specifically, the power of Xi and Xi Jinping thought as the basis for Chinese diplomacy. Like the counter-espionage law, the Foreign Relations Law pretty much puts into writing what China's already doing, putting the Chinese Communist Party first, and by extension Xi. Not the nation, state, or government, and definitely not the people. The law explicitly places control of international relations into the hands of the CCP, with the Standing Committee of the CCP, chaired by Xi Jinping, as the top dog of foreign relations. The State Council, Central Military Commission, and Ministry of Foreign Affairs are just there to implement what the CCP wants. So basically, someone said the quiet part out loud, and instead of covering it up, they put it into writing. So how does this affect foreign companies? I'll tell you after this final commercial break. Welcome back. So how does the Foreign Relations Law affect foreign companies? It says China has the right to take countermeasures and restrictive measures against whatever harms China's sovereignty, security, and developmental interests, which I'm guessing means more arbitrary raids, detainments, and data collection, or basically anything else they want to do. Give that a bunch of wet willies and purple nurples? Hey, they had to. It's for national security. And if you question them about it, sounds like you're threatening their national sovereignty. Article 6 of the Foreign Relations Law states that all institutions, organizations, and citizens have the responsibility and obligation to maintain dignity and honor. Dignity and honor. It's already hard enough to figure out what will hurt the feelings of the Chinese people or threaten Chinese interests, but now we have to worry about China's dignity and honor? Also, considering China uses rape as a form of torture, they care about dignity and honor about as much as Vin Diesel cares about volumizing shampoo. What would it mean in practice? What if a foreign business accidentally calls Taiwan a country? Or complies with U.S. bans on products made with ethnic slave labor? To operate in China, foreign businesses now have to make a choice. They can't have it both ways anymore. Do you follow the democratic world order or the Chinese Communist Party's world order? And unfortunately, experience has made me very cynical about the answer to that question. And this show would not exist without support from viewers like you. Join what I call the China Uncensored 50-cent army by contributing to this show on Patreon. You'll get a bunch of cool perks, including the ability to ask me questions I'll answer on the show. And today's question comes from Ian Pendleton. I've been seeing ads for Temu all over the internet as of late, even though I've never gone on the website. Is there any way to make it so that I don't get those ads at all when I'm browsing? Or at least hide them? That was in response to my recent episode about Temu, which is owned by a Chinese company, being a total scam. Unfortunately, if you wanted to avoid Temu ads, you shouldn't have watched that episode, because the comments were flooded with people saying that they got ads for Temu in that episode. And since I'm talking about Temu here, there's a chance that'll happen with this episode too. That's because Temu is a weapon of the CCP. Their advertising budget must be insane. And get this, according to analysis by Wired, the average amount that Temu loses on each order to the US is around $30. Temu is losing millions of dollars. But that's fine, because it's being propped up by the Chinese company that owns it, which is being propped up by the CCP. The Communist Party is using Temu to drive American competitors out of business. Even more reason foreign companies should be wary of the Chinese market, because if it still isn't clear at this point, the CCP is at war with the world. So the best way to never see a Temu ad again is to help bring down the Chinese Communist Party by sharing this show with friends and family so they know what's really going on in China. Thanks for your question and your support, Ian, and thank you for watching. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.